Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to break down a chapter from an ancient letter, but it's filled with these really urgent warnings that feel, surprisingly modern. We're diving into the second chapter of 2 Peter.
So, right at the start, the author, Peter, hits us with this really unsettling idea. He's setting the stage for a powerful warning about a threat that doesn't storm the gates from the outside, but actually bubbles up from inside the community itself.
Yeah, this chapter isn't about some external enemy at all. It's actually a prophecy, a heads up about false teachers who are going to arise from among the believers themselves.
Peter makes this really interesting comparison. He says, just like ancient Israel had its false prophets, this new community is going to have its false teachers. And you got to notice that key word there, privately or secretly. Their destructive ideas, well, they aren't rolled out with some big announcement. No, they're smuggled in quietly, bit by bit, and they're disguised as the real thing.
All right, so what exactly are these destructive heresies? I mean, that sounds pretty intense, right? Well, the text isn't just talking about, simple disagreements or different church denominations. We're talking about opinions that are fundamentally at odds with core beliefs, teachings that actually create a contempt for the truth and, as Peter warns, ultimately lead to ruin.
So then Peter gives us this incredibly detailed profile of these false teachers. He breaks down their motives, their methods, their message. It's almost like a field guide for spotting spiritual danger.
This table really lays it all out. Let's look at their core motive. It's greed, plain and simple. It's a desire for worldly advantage. And their method? They use what the text calls feigned words, basically bogus or totally made-up stories, and a lot of flattery, all to make merchandise of people. And their message? Well, it's subtle. It's about denying the master who redeemed them while promoting this false idea of freedom that really just leads to chaos.
Their tactics are a classic playbook for manipulation. They use these big, impressive-sounding words that are actually totally empty. They appeal to our most basic desires, the lusts of the flesh, and they make this grand promise of liberty. But it's a sham. It's a freedom to sin, while they themselves are slaves to their own corruption. And who are their primary targets? The text calls them unstable souls, people who aren't yet firmly grounded in what they believe.
So you might be thinking, okay, are these people just going to get away with all this? Well, Peter's answer is a definite no. And to show that this deception won't go unpunished, he doesn't just make a claim. He lays out 3 historical examples, almost like exhibits in a courtroom, as hard evidence that God's judgment on wickedness is certain.
The argument is really simple, but it's so powerful. If God acted decisively against evil in the past, you can be sure he's going to act again. Their condemnation, as the text says, is not idle. It has not been sleeping.
First up, the angels. Peter argues that not even the highest, most powerful created beings got a pass when they sinned. Their incredible status didn't exempt them from punishment, which just goes to show that nobody is above accountability.
Second, he points to the entire ancient world before the flood. And the point here is about numbers. The sheer scale of the wickedness, the fact that it was literally a world of the ungodly, that didn't stop their destruction. Universal sin does not cancel out judgment.
And third, you have the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. I mean, these were prosperous, well-established societies, and they were completely overthrown for their wickedness, becoming this permanent, smoldering example. So the pattern is just undeniable. Sin faces certain judgment.
But wait, judgment is only half the story. Running right alongside this pattern of punishment is an equally powerful and, frankly, hopeful pattern of rescue for the righteous.
What Peter does here is so brilliant. He uses this sharp contrast to show that God makes a distinction. He doesn't just know how to punish the wicked, he absolutely knows how to rescue the godly from the very middle of those same trials.
And this is what brings his whole argument into crystal clear focus. While the ancient world was judged by water, Noah and his family were saved. While those cities were judged by fire, Lot, this guy who was just tormented by all the lawlessness around him, he was delivered.
This one verse, this is the pivot point for the entire chapter. It's really the thesis statement. It gives us both a stern warning and this profound, comforting assurance. The Lord knows how to deliver the godly, and he knows how to reserve the unjust for judgment. He can do both, and he will.
So as the chapter wraps up, Peter pulls out some of the most visceral and honestly unforgettable metaphors in the entire letter. And they're meant to describe people who know the truth and then willfully walk away from it.
He starts by painting this picture of just profound disappointment to highlight the completely hollow promise that they offer. It's like being promised a treasure chest only to open it and find nothing.
I mean, just imagine this for a second. Imagine the desperation of finding a well in a desert, only to look inside and see it's completely dry. Or seeing clouds that promise life-giving rain, only to watch them get blown away by the wind. That's the kind of spiritual emptiness these teachers offer, the promise of something life-giving with absolutely nothing to give.
But then the final metaphor, it's raw, it's disturbing, and it's absolutely meant to be. It's an image designed to show the sheer, unnatural tragedy of someone who has been cleansed, choosing to go right back to the filth. This proverb, it highlights this grotesque return to the very same filth after being cleansed. It's this picture of choosing corruption over purity. And the text says that for a person like that, the latter end is worse with them than the beginning.
And this is the chapter's final, incredibly sobering conclusion. It is a stark warning about the profound seriousness of turning your back on the truth once you've known it and embraced it.
And you know, that's really the question 2 Peter 2 leaves us with. In an age with endless information, with so many competing voices, it's a timeless challenge to stay vigilant, to be grounded in what's true, and to be really aware of the subtle deceptions that can pop up, even from within our own communities.